Hello everyone, it's Kevin, and I actually remember the first time I picked up a video game controller. Granted, it wasn't plugged in, and it was my uncle playing instead of me. But I vividly remember the game being this one. Yes, today we are looking at Super Mario Bros. On the NES. Every gamer has played, or at least knows about the original Super Mario Bros. Even many people who don't play video games know this game. But here's something that's wild for all you younger viewers out there. When this game released in 1985, there really wasn't anything else like it. And while it looks simple today, this game had multiple enemy types, power-ups, different environments, secrets, side-scrolling, and even a two-player mode. It blew people's minds, and it helped change gaming forever. At the time, this was next level. It is time to power on and see why Super Mario Bros. Was revolutionary. Super Mario Bros. Released in 1985 on the NES, and for a lot of people this wasn't just a game. This was the game. For many of us, like I alluded to earlier, this was our first gaming experience. When you really look back at that era, most games felt very arcadey. They included short sessions where you start over constantly and you chase high scores. Were they fun? Yeah, I loved Pac-Man and things like that, but they didn't really feel like a journey. Super Mario Bros. Did something different. It gave players a clear goal. You make your way through every level, reach the final castle, defeat King Koopa, aka Bowser, and save the princess. Simple idea, right? But it completely changed how games were designed. What can I say? Side-scrolling changed everything. This might sound obvious now, but the screen moving with your character? That was a big deal back then. Earlier Nintendo games like Donkey Kong and Mario Bros. Left everything on one screen. But not in this game. In this game you keep moving forward, and the level just keeps going until you finally reach that flagpole. Suddenly, the environments start changing from level to level. You go from grass to underground to underwater to castles. Each level felt like a part of a bigger adventure. Not just another stage built for score chasing, and that sense of progression became the blueprint for platformers. It was often imitated, but rarely matched. One thing that's really cool about this game, especially for back then, is that it teaches you without saying a word. The most famous example of this, of course, is World 1-1. The first level of the entire game. It's one of the smartest levels ever designed, and people still talk about it today. It's often featured in game design courses, because it acts as a tutorial without ever telling you that it is a tutorial. You start off by walking, and you see a Goomba that slowly approaches you. There's no instructions or text boxes that tell you what to do here. You just have to immediately problem solve, so you jump. Or you learn the hard way and you die. Then you see a question block, and out of curiosity you're gonna hit it, and suddenly a mushroom pops out, and Mario gets stronger. Well, unless you botch it, but let's say 99% of the time it works out. So you see, we didn't need a tutorial screen for this game. The game taught us by letting us play, and honestly, this style of teaching feels like it's been forgotten over time, because a lot of modern games still struggle with this. Now, one of the coolest things about Super Mario Bros. Was the secrets. It really made the game feel bigger than it ever was. There was hidden blocks, hidden paths that led to warp zones, and vines that take you into the sky. And back then, there was no internet. Secrets spread through word of mouth. Even though the game had already been out for years when I was in grade school, there was still schoolyard myths about the game. And of course, plenty of other games at that time. Kids would go up to each other and say,
"You know you can skip worlds, right? There's a hidden life somewhere in this level."
And sometimes these rumors were true, sometimes they weren't, which drove you insane as a kid, to be honest with you. Either way, that sense of mystery and discovery kept us playing and trying new things. Man, the controls, what can I really say except Mario just feels good to control. Even today, Super Mario Bros. Still feels great to play. There's momentum when you run, which was rare at the time, and it leads to very predictable platforming. And of course it also led to those little moments where you do something crazy and you feel like an absolute boss. When you mess up in this game, it usually felt like your fault. I say usually because I still don't love how the trampolines work. That might be my only complaint. The game featured very simple controls which helped it reach that mainstream audience. But even though the controls are simple, they were extremely polished. That's probably why so many games tried to copy this formula. Honestly, I don't think it was fully matched until Nintendo themselves released Super Mario Bros. 3. I might have to die on that hill. The second I said the title of this game, you probably already heard the music in your head. The main overworld theme is iconic, and honestly it's generational. Even my grandmother recognizes this one. The underground theme fits perfectly with those darker levels, and the underwater music is surprisingly chill, especially considering these are probably my least favorite levels in the game. Maybe I should make a short video about underwater levels, but that's a topic for another day. And then there's the castle theme. It causes a great sense of tension, especially the first time you reach that final castle. It will get burned into your memory. Every sound gives you feedback as well. Coins, power-ups, jumping, everything is connected. And for anyone who has played this game, hearing these sounds brings back a flood of memories instantly. Now, in regards to the difficulty in this game, it might not feel obvious at first, but this game actually gets significantly harder as you progress. The difficulty curve is so smooth though, that it feels natural. Each new challenge builds on something you already learned earlier. As you move through the game, you'll encounter new enemies, tighter jumps, and more obstacles. And then, there are the Hammer Bros. They will absolutely steal your lunch and eat it too. And we're still not talking about the trampolines, as mentioned earlier. But before you realize it, you've improved at this game, and that sense of progression kept players coming back. So when I look back at my analytics here on YouTube, I see that most of you are born in the 3D era of gaming. And it could be hard to imagine that a simple looking game like Super Mario Bros. Helped shape the platformers that we played today. That's one of the reasons I wanted to make this video. Not just for the older gamers and nostalgia, but for younger players too. You need to understand how important this game really was. This was a huge leap forward. Super Mario Bros. And Zelda shortly after. They showed that games could feel like adventures. Even with simple mechanics, they created experiences that felt deep. And they introduced formulas that still work decades later. Some games are fun, some are memorable, and then there are games that change everything. And Super Mario Bros. Did exactly that. And that's a wrap.
That is quite enough now.
Wait, what was that? Why does this game look like this now? Why am I Luigi all of a sudden? Is this New Game Plus? What the f-